Welcome back to Trinity of Fitness Bootcamp. I'm your instructor, Coach Nye. Listen, today we're going to talk about the inner child awareness. So let's talk about that a little bit. This lesson will help you understand, and it helped me understand as well, that many adults, our emotional patterns are rooted in our childhood experiences. The goal, as we learn, the goal is not to blame the past, but to understand it so healing can begin. That was something so tough for me because I didn't understand what healing was, one, and I didn't understand what me reliving my childhood have to be with me being an adult, because I was taught, oh, it happened, there's nothing you can do about it, oh well. And I had to rewire my brain to understand that no, it's not that it just happened, oh well, move on. No, I can change my future by dealing with my past, but you have to know how to deal with your past. Some things you can self heal from, but a lot of things you may need a therapist. I always tell people to get a therapist because they create a safe environment for you to unravel the things of your past and be able to be present in that moment with it and be gentle with it, right? Without you going back to the past and it just unravels, and sometimes we can't put it back, and a lot of people go on a rage, they go crazy or whatever it is because they don't know how to tame the beast that they unraveled, the hurt, the trauma, the pain. So that's what the whole thing is. I want you to rewire your brain of the whole thing of it happened. Oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is move forward. No, you can address the past. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. So today, the first topic that we're going to talk about is understanding childhood imprinting. And a lot of people don't even understand what imprinting really means and how that affect us. The childhood imprinting refers to the beliefs, emotional responses, and behaviors you learned early on in life. Those values and morals, meaning that we were created on purpose, for a purpose, with purpose. But once we were brought into this world, we were thrown into survival mode and we had to pick up someone else's values and morals, right? So as children, we absorbed how love is expressed or how it's withheld, and how conflict is handled, what is safe or unsafe emotionally, and what we must do to feel accepted. So I want to talk about the feeling safe or unsafe emotionally. When we are not safe emotionally as a child because we're not emotionally intelligent, and a lot of times because survival mode teaches us, because survival mode itself is lead with the negativity first, lead with the everything should go wrong, lead with the glasses half empty, because anything over that, then that's a blessing, a win is a win type of thing, right? But no, because we're not emotionally intelligent as children, and then 9 times out of 10 our parents aren't either, so we learn to suppress a lot of things, or we'll step into secondary emotions. And secondary emotions is those values and morals that we were taught in the household. You grew up with two emotions: either you're happy or you angry. There's no confusion because you're angry. There's no sadness, that means you're angry. We didn't know where to quite put that at. So as kids, we process adult emotions being projected onto us or whatever, and we processed it in our little minds, and we solve the problem. Can you imagine your mom yelling at you and you're 6 years old because you had an accident, and she's yelling at you and your little mind just processed that I can't do anything right. Oh, I'm stupid. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not, you see, and then you process that, and then you grow up in your adulthood, you find yourself shrinking yourself. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So these early experiences often shape how we think, feel, and respond as adults, especially under stress. This is why you get so many people to act out, adults, and it look like temper tantrums, and it's not. It's just they never knew how to express themselves, articulate, or sit with their emotions. A lot of people feel like if I'm in the emotion that I feel like I'm about to cry, or they get angry. And that's not how God created us. He created us to purge. That's what our tears is for, to purge. So he can come in and bring a comforter and bring us that comfort or something to soothe us. But we can't because we don't know how to process that. So the inner child as your emotional root. Let's look at that. The inner child as your emotional root. Your inner child represents the emotional part of you that experienced your earliest joys, fears, and wounds, right? So this part of you holds unmet emotional needs. As I stated, we didn't know how to process it. We operated in secondary emotions, meaning that I'm sad, but I'm going to act out and I'm going to show the emotion of anger because we didn't know. And then this part of you that reacts strongly to rejection, criticism, or abandonment seeks safety, love, and reassurance, influences your emotional triggers in adulthood. When your inner child is unhealed, adult situations can feel bigger than they actually are because old emotions are being activated. I want to talk about the seek safety, love, and reassurance. As a child, we seek those things and it shouldn't be sought after because love is a being. It's not an emotion, it's not a feeling. You have to become it, right? And if your household, if your mother carried the fruits, that's love. So if they're not carrying the fruit, right? Then you're looking for something to show that okay, they appreciate me, or they love me. I did a good job. You're looking for that validation. You seek those things because as a child you don't know anything else but love. Remember, we were brought in out of love. The veil is the thinnest when we're the younger we are. So as we grow up, we look for what love is. And how do we look for love? We don't even know what love is. And that's the thing. A lot of people seek love and, get in relationships, male or female, it doesn't matter. Get in a relationship looking for love, and they really don't know what love is. You know what they're looking for? They're looking for someone to fill the void of what they felt when they were a child. So for me, I always looked at protection. I always wanted protection, and that's what I would date, looking for protection. You got to be this type of person because you got to protect me. I wanted to unzip you and hide in you. So once I started to heal, I realized that that's not good. That I'm looking for something and I'm willing to date or, be friends with anyone that I feel that can protect me. But why don't I feel protected? Those are the questions that I had to start asking myself as I went through the healing journey. Why don't I feel protected? And so that's how I was able to get to my childhood and realize there was some things that I felt abandoned in, and I had to speak truth to it. Meaning, what I processed as a child, I processed a lie, right, as the truth, because I'm a child processing adult language and words and actions. As a child, I processed that and it was a lie, and I had to speak truth to it by telling my younger self that no, those things that were done to you, those were projection, those were projected onto you because of they felt. Sometimes adults or your parents or the older siblings or just in general the family can bully you from a place of where they felt bullied. That was their protection by bullying the next person. I know it sounds weird, but hey. So I had to speak to my younger child. So let's look at this one. How childhood wounds show up in adult relationships. This is a big one. This is where you hear, well, let me not get ahead of myself. Let's go into the unhealed childhood experiences often appear in how we connect with others. This can look like when you have fear of abandonment, it's needing consistent reassurance. Do you constantly need reassurance? You're looking for validation from someone else. That comes from fear of abandonment. Perfectionism. Believing love must be earned. You're looking for constantly, I'm sure it's a lot of you out there that your love language, as they say, is gift giving. You give, you pour into others, right? It's because that perfectionism, but we pour into people because that's what we really want. People pleasing. What's this one? It shows up in our adulthood as avoiding conflict to stay accepted. I just don't want no problems. Yeah, I don't even care if the reason why you stand quiet is because you might crash out. It doesn't matter. It's people pleasing that needs to be addressed. When did you start people pleasing? Right? Emotional withdrawal. Let's look at that one. Protecting yourself from being hurt again. So you run, you ghost, you see one little red flag because you go into a relationship looking for something. Well, that comes from a place of That's emotional withdrawal, but a place of survival mode. Survival mode taught you to look for. So then you thought you healed when you said, okay, I'm just going to look for the green flags. That's still toxic behavior because you're still looking for something. As a healed adult, let me tell you what it should look like. Where it says fear of abandonment, need constant reassurance. You are confident in who you are. You know your self worth. You know you don't have to prove your self worth to anyone. Let's look at it as you've healed from this. Perfectionism, believing love must be earned. You realize that love is not an emotion. It is not a thing, an action. You have to become it. It is the highest gift of all. It is God. It's the highest gift of all. It's carrying the fruits. So you don't look to be perfect because you understand that you're perfect in God's eye, and you don't worry about what the survival, the low vibration got to say. You don't care about that. What low vibration got going on has nothing to do with you. I just taught a class about making yourself invisible to the enemy. How do you do that? By staying in your lane, by focusing on self. People pleasing, avoiding conflict to stay accepted. As a healed individual that has worked on their inner self, they realize that I'm not here to make you happy. You're going to like me or you're not going to like me. I am here in purpose, so I have to get the job done. I am here for God to do what God have me to do, his glory. Whatever it is that he have me to do, that's what I'm supposed to do. He fights my battles. What's another one? Emotionally withdrawal. Protecting yourself from being hurt again. You understand as a healed adult that, hey, things are going to happen, but it does not mean that it has to hurt. Relationships, breakups will happen. You're not going to be so tied to that relationship that you're going to be hurting from it because you understand what's for you is for you. What disconnects from you has to disconnect from you. If it was meant to stay with you, then it'll stay. See, you start looking at things differently. Let's look at another one. These patterns are not random. They are protection strategies learned early in life. So you understand all those patterns and everything that you've been through and every protective mechanism that you created, whatever it is, you learn that from a place of survival mode. So everything that you learn from survival mode, you must check it and challenge it from a wholesome state, from a grounded state, from the healed version of yourself. Okay, so let's look at fear, abandonment, perfectionism, and people pleasing. These are some of the most common emotional patterns rooted in childhood experiences. So let's look at fear. Expecting things to go wrong or people to leave. Survival mode. Abandonment. Feeling unsafe when people pull away. Survival mode. I need someone. I have to have some. They always use that quote, man was not created to be alone. They'll use that quote and with survival mode, you lead with that thinking like, oh my goodness. You know, God created Eve for Adam because we wasn't created to be alone. Yes, that's true, but not with just anyone. Why would God create me to be attached to someone that's attached to the enemy that's whole goal is to kill, steal, and destroy me? So when you're looking at it from survival mode, it's called abandonment. What's another one? Perfectionism. Believing mistakes lead to rejection. I have to be perfect because if not, they're going to see this about me. They're going to talk about me. I'm going to miss the block. No, 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 absolutely not. You don't have to be perfect for this world, for the material world, for this world. You don't have to be perfect for it. You're not going to be perfect. Matter of fact, you're not even going to be liked. But it's okay because you're invisible to the nonsense because you're in purpose. As long as you stay in purpose, you miss a lot of things. This is the craziest thing. I teach that don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Yes, they are going to attack you. Yes, they are coming for you. Yes, they are talking about you. Absolutely. They're doing all these things, but you don't entertain it. Don't even think about it. It does not exist. Remember, you have haters, but for me, yes, it's people out there that don't like me. But in my energy, I like everybody. In my energy, I love everybody. In my energy, I'm going to help the next person get to the next level. In my energy, that's the only energy that matters. This is where I live. This body is where I live every day. My mind, those are where my thoughts live every day. I am not going to allow someone to come in and rearrange my thoughts, my heart, my emotions just to make someone else feel good. No. This is where I live every day. So whatever energy you have, that's on you. Your energy is not allowed here. Those are boundaries. So in the mix of that, you have people that's like, no, I need to know what people got to say about me. So, I won't be caught blindsided. I don't care what a person got to say about me. And I will be caught blindsided because it wasn't my business. God will fight my battle. All you have to do is continue being who God called you to be. Do what you said you were set out to do and be who you said you are. Yes, people are going to talk about you. Yes, people are going to come for you. Yes, people are going to lie on you. You're going to hear some strange things about what people said about you. You're going to hear some crazy things of what people said about you. That's not true. However, the way you prove them wrong, the best revenge that you can have is you being who you say you are. And that's it. Okay? Healing begins when you recognize these patterns without shame and begin responding differently. Be who you say you are. Nothing else, nothing more. Be who you say you are. Because all those lies, people will eventually want to see who you are. And guess what? You're nothing what they said you are. You are everything that you said you were. Okay? So, your inner child is not childish. Let's break all this down. Your inner child is not childish. They are your foundation. This is where everything started from. Your inner child carries your earliest emotional experience that still influences your adulthood, right? So that you have to check that, going back and healing that. And like I said, sometimes going back to your childhood will cause you more pain. So you may need a therapist to help you unravel it. If not, sometimes you can self-heal on your own. Let's look at your reactions today often belong to the child you once were. As an adult, our actions, our reaction, and how we react to things. A lot of us, it was a point in time that I would crash out. I had to cuss everybody out. I had to just, I had to let them know. I got fed up. I was always the one to, let it be, let it be. It's okay. Let them say whatever. And to the point, I'm pushed up against a wall anytime. Listen, I always believe this. You back a little mud up in a corner, eventually it will bite. And it was always when I was backed up in a corner, I would bite because my reaction came from a place of bullying. If I felt threatened or bullied, that was the way out. And I had to change the way I thought, right? So strong emotional responses are often rooted in past experiences, not present situations. So the situation is happening to me. I'm only going to deal with it from what I know. You have to rewire your brain. You have to rewire your mind to do things differently. Okay? And then compassion is how we reparent ourselves. Healing happens when you respond to yourself with the care, the safety, the patience you may have not received before. Okay, you have to give yourself what you did not receive. Now you're an adult, you know what you were lacking. So going around and constantly blaming and saying, my mom did this, my mom did this. Trust me, I did it for years. I blamed everybody. And not saying that they were innocent, it's just the fact that I didn't understand that, wait a minute. What is my part in this? Not that I did anything wrong, is when do I say enough of allowing this to rule my life, to keep me from moving forward, to keep me from being better, to keep me from, when am I going to heal from this and accept that that did happen, but I can change how it runs my life, right? So I had to do that. So I had to learn compassion. I had to reparent myself. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with spiritual, mental, and physical exercises that you can do to get you reflected. This is something that I want you to focus on for the entire week. So your mental exercise, I want you to write a message or journal you received in childhood that still affects you. Now, as I say, these exercises for people that want to self-heal. Now, some things you need a therapist to go through. I am a coach. I am not a therapist, but these are exercises that can help you along the way as you self-heal to identify some things, okay? So write a message or journal. What you received in childhood that still affects you. Now, your physical exercise, I want you to get in the habit of self-hug. We were brought into a world of survival mode that told us that we needed someone else. We need a companion. We need love. We need people. Love on me, hug me. I just need a hug, right? But the whole time, God created us that we have everything that we need on the inside. If you want to heal, if you want to feel better, you change your energy. We can fix that. So I want you to practice self hug for 30 seconds. I want you to feel the warmth of yourself, your own energy, sitting in your own energy. That's what I want you to feel. So, a 30-second self hug. And I want you to do it often this week, okay? And then the spiritual exercise is I just want you to close your eyes and whisper, I see you, I'm here now. That is you talking to your child, the child in you, your inner child. I see you, I'm here now. I see you and I'm here now. We're going to do a short declaration. I honor the child within me. And then your journaling prompt. I'm going to give you two. What did I need as a child but rarely received? What did I need as a child but rarely received? Two, how does that unmet need show up in my life today? How does that unmet need show up in my life today? And then your homework assignment is place a childhood photo somewhere you can see it daily. Now, hear me and hear me well. If that childhood photo triggers you, do not do this exercise unless you're in a safe environment therapist, okay? That can help you get through it. For me, my childhood pictures would trigger me. They would always trigger me. They would trigger me, trigger me, trigger me. And I would just, I don't want to think about it because it's so much shame, embarrassment, sadness. It's more sadness than anything. And when I would look at it, I would get emotional. Just talking about it now, I still get emotional, but I learned how to deal with it. And what I do now is when I see her, is I had to go to her and I had to explain some things to my inner child of the things that I went through. I should never had to go through. I should never had to handle things like that. I should never had ever felt alone. Those were things that were projected onto me. The people that projected it onto me, they were hurt. It was not me. I didn't do anything wrong. And I had to explain it to myself. And then I had to also tell myself, and it's so crazy that 5-year-old, 6-year-old girl, I had to explain to her, because of your strength, look at who I am today. Who we always dreamed we would be, I finally stepped and found it, and I am her now. So you can go play now. But it was just sad that, I even had to think about that I had to talk to a 5-year-old and say, because you were strong, I am the adult that I am today. But it got me through, and I'm able to, pour into others and teach others from a place of my testimony. So, yes. So if you can't do it, if it's too triggering, like I said, get you a therapist. But place a childhood photo somewhere so you can see it daily, because I need you to see that you are both the adult you and the child you. And that child you is the reason why you are successful and stepping into healing and want better because of that, baby. Right? Now let's look at your discussion questions, right? Let's discuss this. You can either put it in the comments or just take it to a tabletop, or you can tabletop with your friends and you guys can talk about it, or you can just journal it. What childhood message still impacts how you see yourself? What childhood message still impacts how you see yourself? And how can you begin reparenting yourself gently? What ways can you begin to reparent yourself gently? Okay. So this was an amazing lesson that I wanted to teach you guys. I will be back next week with another lesson. If you want more of this, you can download the podcast and share it out with friends. Share it out with friends. Share it out with friends. Also, if you want more teaching, I have more teaching on my YouTube. My YouTube is Chat with Coach Nye. You can subscribe and hit the notification bell because I'm going to teach. I'm also going to teach this course as well on YouTube. So you can catch me there. Now, ladies, I have the Lead Her Movement Network that has officially launched this month. It is Lead Her Movement leadhermovement.mn.co. It is open up. You can try it for 7 days and then you can join, whichever way. But this is an environment for women to learn and grow. So leadhermovement.mn.co. Check it out. And I also teach the Lead Her Movement morning show on my TikTok. My TikTok is Chat with Coach Nye. Everywhere, if you want to find me on any social, is Chat with Coach Nye. Listen, it's been great. I want you guys to set your intentions. Make sure you set your intentions for the week and get ready and make sure that you command your day. This is your day. You make it great. So if no one told you today, I'm telling you now, I love you and I'm so proud of you. Remember to pour into yourself before you pour into others. Coach Nye out.